Today, we're sharing a powerful and deeply personal story, a real life experience that sheds light on just how suddenly and unexpectedly a blood clot can change a young life. To protect the identity of the person involved, names and some personal details have been changed, but what happened is absolutely true. The images you'll see throughout this video have been created using AI for illustrative purposes. They are not real photographs of the individual or their family. This is Johnathon's story, a reminder that blood clots don't discriminate by age and that raising awareness can truly save lives.
Hi, it's Louise from Thrombowatch. Hope everybody's well. I'm going to tell a story today with kind permission. The story is absolutely true. Change some details to prevent identification, but what happened to him is what happened. So when John had not long turned 18, he'd got a job in a restaurant while still at school. And he got to the point where exams were finished, school was out for the summer, and he had just one more shift to do at his job before he could meet his friends and celebrate the end of school. And he was just 18. It was the first time he could legally drink in the UK. So it was the time of your life, really. So he just had to get through this shift. And so he was at work and everything was normal. He was collecting dishes. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, he felt a pain that he describes as being like having his head parted by an axe. That's how he described it. He fell to the floor and he was unable to move and he was unable to speak. An ambulance was called and he was taken to hospital. And that's where he was diagnosed with a stroke. And you can imagine total devastation. His parents were called, they rushed there. They couldn't believe what they were hearing because 18-year-olds don't have strokes, do they? Is what people tend to think. It's not true, but you don't tend to hear about strokes in young people. So the expectation, the understanding is that it happens to old people. It doesn't only happen to old people. And it happened to John. So he was in his hospital bed and he was given medication to break down the blood clot that they'd found. And what they wanted to do to understand how this had happened, how did an apparently healthy teen, no medical history to note, how had this happened to him? What they suspected was that he had a hole in the heart that had fired off this blood clot. Within his family.
We're just pausing for a second here to let Dr. Aman Sharma go into more detail about the hole in the heart that was found, what it actually was, and why it mattered.
Hey guys, we'll talk briefly about PFO, patent foramen ovale. So I'll tell you how does this work. So if you've got the clot in the lung, which I'm showing as blue, at times it can disintegrate, get into smaller pieces. So now you've got a small chunk. It's traveling all the way up through the blood vessels and it has gone into the right side of your heart. Usually if it's got in the right side, things should be okay. But if you've got a small slit in your heart where things can easily pass from the right side of your heart to your left, then this is trouble. Because this clot will now go into the main blood vessel, which is the aorta, go up into the brain and get dislodged into the brain, causing a brain stroke. It's very rare, but people have had it. So that's PFO for you so that you don't get anxious and diagnose yourself with PFO.
Elsewhere in the family, not directly, there was some factor V Leiden had been identified, but that wasn't tied together to this at that time at all. And I still don't believe that there has been a diagnosis of a genetic finding of factor V Leiden with John. But it's there in the family. It's interesting. And what they wanted to do was perform a transesophageal echo to diagnose this hole in the heart potentially. And what that involves is a camera, a probe down, and I'm not medical, right? So this is just my words. We'll get Dr. Sharma to explain it at some point, but basically you swallow the probe that would normally be outside, or a type of probe similar to the ones that you normally see on a pregnant lady's tummy. Something similar to that he would swallow, and it would be able to tell whether there was a small hole in the heart from where a blood clot could fire off to the brain. That was really the only thing that they could see as being the cause for this. Now, John's family had some bad experiences with health and medical practitioners, and he didn't want it. I think, and he probably recognises now, there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, he didn't want that horrible sounding procedure. He was worried because hospitals hadn't been great for his family. But there was also an element of him who wanted to deny that it had happened and deny that he was unwell. He just wanted to be a normal kid. So he didn't want to get involved in that kind of investigation. And what one of the doctors had said is, it's a one-off, it'll probably never happen again. And he's picked up on that. He's still living with that. It was a one-off, it'll never happen again. I didn't probe too much with John as to whether he is really comfortable with that, or does he ever worry that maybe it could happen again. We really hope not. We really hope it doesn't. And he's on medication to keep his blood thin, but he's never yet, and we're now a decade on or so, he's never had that test to find out whether there is a hole in the heart. If there was a hole in the heart, there is a procedure that could close it. So my private conversations with John were, please go back and get that test. But I can understand why he didn't want to do that. His mobility came back really quite quickly when they got him into hospital. What he has been left with is some speech challenges. Not easy to detect. It arises more if he's stressed or under pressure. There is a struggle to find his words. Hardly noticeable now, but you can hear it if you know what you're looking for. But I guess he is very grateful that is the only residual challenge that he has. But an absolutely horrendous experience for a young lad who was looking forward to a very exciting, fun time ahead of him. And it did definitely impede that. And he, much as he's tried to deny it, he does have that challenge. He did have that challenge of medication and checkups and things like that, that he really didn't want to face and didn't want to be getting in the way of the time of his life. What's happened more recently is that John has become a father, and his little boy has a heart murmur. And that murmur, unfortunately, could indicate that his son has got a hole in the heart. There are other reasons for a heart murmur, but that is one of them. So it is being closely monitored, and we hope that's not the case. But if it is, that could mean that it is more likely that is what also has been the cause of John's trouble, but at the moment we don't know. I would urge him to bite the bullet and get checked out. It could save his life. Obviously, he's doing all he can to make sure that his son is monitored. It's very difficult. The things that we've talked about here, truly life and death situations and the emotions that go with them. Nobody can say what's right or wrong. But I am concerned about how things will progress for John in the future. And I really hope that all is well. I'm grateful to him for consenting for us to tell his story. If anybody wants to pick up on any of the things that we've discussed here, please do drop us a line in the chat, message us separately. We're always willing to talk, although obviously we can't give advice on specific situations that other people have. But we can certainly talk in general. If there's any element of this that you would like a better explanation of than I've given, we can certainly talk to Dr. Sharma and get him to help. So that's it from this episode. I hope you found it useful. Happy to share more discussions with you. If you have a different story that you'd like to tell, of course, we'd always love to hear from you as well. So thanks very much. Take care, everybody.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice. The views expressed are the personal opinions of the Thrombowatch team. If you think you may have developed a blood clot, please speak to your healthcare provider urgently. Health-related information shared in this podcast, including text, graphics, images, and other material, is intended for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your doctor or another qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. If you believe you're experiencing a medical emergency, call 999 in the UK. For less urgent support, call 111. Thank you.